part of the growth team at Tag Digital. We help event organisers reach their goals across events, content and digital products. So today I'm going to take you through how to capture good quality leads, nurture and convert them, how to generate revenue using data and digital, how to engage your audience with 365 content campaigns, how best to utilise first-party data, and then we'll take a look at the benchmarks and what is good, the virtual events versus the live events. So let's get started. So how to capture good quality leads, nurture and convert them. So generating high quality leads is the majority of a marketer's #1 challenge. Salespeople nowadays want more higher quality leads that have a better conversion rate into their deal pipeline and more potential customers so that their time and efforts are of good value. I'm going to share some ideas and best practices on how to do that. So how to capture good quality leads, nurture and convert them. So #1, align sales and marketing. So you want to ensure that you're regularly meeting and talking to one another. One of the biggest challenges that we see is the communication between the two. Sometimes we see that these areas of expertise don't even meet, they don't even talk. Actually at Tag Digital, we meet once a week and we are communicating with each other every single day. You want to make sure that the leads that are coming into sales are of good value. So define qualified leads, marketing and sales. So this could include like a lead scoring from 1 to 10. You want to think about when is that lead ready to be passed from marketing to sales, and have they had enough marketing information? Have they had enough key pieces that helps them understand, and have they actually engaged with those pieces? There's no point to take a lead from marketing to sales if they actually haven't engaged with any of the marketing content. So #3, create a lead nurturing content process. So following on from your lead scoring there, and analysis, create a variety of content processes that the leads can be sent. Decide what kind of content and how often that should be. So it could either be 3, 7, or every 10 days, but not every single day. You don't want to spam that potential lead. #4, personalize and educate according to the buyer's journey and pain points. So you want to make sure to understand your audience. Don't just send out random content into the same group and hope for the best. So if you've previously sent out a survey or questionnaire to understand the lead's challenges and pain points, then make sure that your content actually addresses those points. You want that lead to understand why they need you and how you can help them overcome their challenges. From there, you can then build leads and prospects. Make sure to track, measure and qualify, and do that regularly with your leads. You want to make sure that the leads that are coming in are of good quality, and if not, then you need to make some changes to your marketing and to your targeting. Pick out the hand raisers and do not just rely on email marketing. So one of the things that we've seen is that actually if you reach out personally and quickly, 90% of your consumers are more likely to buy from you if they're contacted within 5 minutes of submitting their lead. And then you can convert and nurture. So looking at social lead gen ads, this is something our clients are using a lot to gather new data. And with lead ads, users can submit their information through an automated form without ever having to leave the platform because of its native functionality. The mobile responsiveness means that no matter which device your leads view your ads on, they'll be able to complete your form without any issues thanks to its responsive design. And it's a simple data collection because the potential customer's information is captured without having to create a new landing page or a conversion path. And the social lead ads allow for highly targeted segmentations because you can target interests, demographics, and more. So that basically means that the leads that you acquire from Facebook are already highly qualified. We've got some examples that we've previously done for a client on the left-hand side there, you can see. So looking at some of the best practices here, keep your headlines under 60 characters. Concise headlines lead to more engagement. Anything more than that can become quite truncated. Number 2, provide valuable content to your target audience. So what is the objective of the lead generation campaign? You want to repeat the benefits of completing the lead generation form in the ad copy. Why should that user give you their data? You could also utilize content as the objective to gather the data. So for one of our clients, we actually used an ebook, and we noticed that not using the word free actually worked better. You don't need to settle on one piece of content either. You could use a variety of content, and it actually might take you a few times before you find the right content that will actually work. We would always recommend that you use a minimum of 4 copies due to frequency capping as well. And remember and keep in mind, this will give the users branded content, and that has a huge lasting value, therefore keeping those leads warm. Number 3, give your form a compelling headline. Your message should clearly relate to the form. And number 4, set expectations. So for example, a thank you page, and tell your audience when you will be in touch. Number 5, multiple choice questions. These always work a lot better. I think a lot of people don't have a lot of time, so if they can answer from a multiple choice question from a drop down menu, it makes a lot easier for the user to submit their information. Number 6, make sure you use a well-known brand so that it's recognisable for the potential lead as well. Define your target audience. So who is your target audience? Don't go too broad, and remember and test multiple audiences and demographics. Then you can do some analysis to see what actually worked. Don't just go with your gut and what you think might work. Number 8, feature a clear call to action so that your audience knows how to act on their interest, like a download or learn more. And then finally, follow up with your leads when you say you will, and include details of how and when you'll contact them in your thank you message. So looking at how to generate revenue using data and digital. Over the past year, we all know that event organisers have struggled to generate revenue whilst the live events were not happening. So we had to think of additional ways that we could do this through data and digital, and also as a sustainable source for the future. We understood that so many of our clients struggled to build prospective, good quality leads. And also our clients were also struggling to maintain good connections with their clients because so much of the communication just went totally dead. One of the main issues that we also saw was identifying opportunity and understanding digital. Everybody was expected to become a digital expert overnight. So this really put a block in place of being able to sell opportunity that actually already exists. The reason that we built Audience Extension, which I'm going to tell you about next, was to support event organisers to drive revenue remotely, focused on the objective of conversion over impressions or data acquisition, which we kind of hoped would create value on top of any event-specific campaigns, as we could use these and we can use these all year round. To give you some examples of what we've been doing recently, we have worked with a fashion designer that would usually be at a fashion event with this audience extension product, and also with a kitchen appliance supplier that would usually be at a home show. So what exactly is Audience Extension? So Audience Extension connects exhibitors with their target audience by sending traffic to your exhibitors' websites. So that's using the existing data, for example, the previous show visitors, the data that already exists within the account. So it's a high quality audience exposure for your clients, and it generates a strong return on investment, and it's purely just through digital. So audience extension includes ad creative, landing pages, tracking, as well as live dashboards for your reporting's sake. It's so quick to set up, and it's a profitable all year round offering as well. So just to reiterate there, the data is already built. It's sold on a CPM basis, so that's cost per impression. And there's huge margins to be made for you as the event organizer. So some of the main benefits of audience extension there would be that it's a strong source of additional revenue for you as the event organizer. It allows your exhibitors for you to connect with your exhibitors all year round, and for your exhibitors to connect with their audience all year round. You can leverage your web audience, and you can scale across all of your exhibitors to drive digital revenue. And it's important to note that your marketing lists are up to 540 days, so you can really use that whenever and all year round. So next we're going to look at how to engage your audience with 365 campaigns, 365 content campaigns, sorry. So digital marketers have now realised the need to utilise 365 content campaigns rather than just having one budget, say for example, around 3 to 4 months of when the event actually is. The key to 365 content campaigns is to deliver like content-led campaigns to maintain exposure and gather data throughout the year. So for example, as well as content-led, you could roll out a keep up to date landing page. So that could include something like a checkbox asking users if they're likely to be interested in visiting or exhibiting later on in the year, so that you could segment that user data. Some of the main benefits of running 365 campaigns is that it allows you to maintain brand presence and introduce the brand to new users, allowing them to move through the funnel more cheaply, rather than sort of running all of the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel campaigns just when the event is actually on. So when should you run awareness campaigns? You should look at running awareness campaigns when you're looking to boost awareness within your industry about your event. So if you have low brand awareness, this can happen, and often does happen, with co-located shows. There's usually always one that's more popular than the other. If you're a new show in the industry, or if your event has significantly moved date, which we all know has happened quite a lot recently, or if you're trying to push into a new geolocation or sector. So the campaign objectives would be to drive qualified new data traffic to the website at a high volume. The different types of campaigns that you could use would be display, search, video, and social. The ad types, there would be display, in-stream video, search ads, top of the funnel, social ads, and we'd measure the success through clicks, impressions, and click-through rate. So looking at AlwaysOn campaigns, this is the ultimate awareness, engagement, and data building campaign. So it's campaigns that run continuously throughout the year with a small budget. You do this to build strong brand awareness, stay ahead of competition, and share content out with your followers and keep all of the users engaged worldwide. And it's also very good at keeping your events at the forefront amongst competitors, as well as getting your content shown and across the globe. So here's some examples of an always-on strategy. So you could focus on key content pieces that's engaging to your audience, case studies from events that you want to share, industry reports, maybe some awards that you might have won to boost your credibility, or strong launch videos for your upcoming events, or in general, just strong content pieces that you feel don't really get the reach on an organic post, which tends to happen. And sometimes in that scenario, what we would do is a sort of post engagement or a boost there. So we've got some examples for you to see here. So next we're going to take a look at how best to utilise first-party data. So as we all know, cookies are finally being phased out over the next 1 to 2 years, and we've already seen this across Safari, in-app usage, and most recently the Facebook iOS update. And we kind of knew this was coming after cookies started being blocked. There was changes in browsers, followed by GDPR, and obviously the announcements on Google and Facebook. So we really need to start thinking about how to best utilize their first-party data. So looking at focusing on first-party data, we've actually been using a lot of customer match and custom audience recently because they've grown so much over the past few years, and it allows us to upload our own data into Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn and match it with their database and advertise to these audiences. We can then increase our coverage and accuracy, as well as creating lookalikes, similar and expanded audiences. So just to reiterate, for those that don't know, lookalike audiences use machine learning to find users that are just like those in your email list. You can also decide how wide to make that audience in terms of percentage. So you could go 1, 2, 3%. But ultimately, you can take advantage of predictive advertising and find new audiences that should behave in a similar way to your original audience. You can also layer that lookalike audience to narrow it down to keep it relevant and not too broad. So the typical match rates when uploading hash data to Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn vary from about 10 to 30%. So that's why it's so important to invest time delivering meaningful customer experiences and also creating useful content. You want to ensure that it's worth your users' time to give you their data. So number 2, you could consider using a data onboarding platform. So data onboarding allows you to take your data that you've built, upload it to a processor, and then use additional matching against their identifying graphs to create a higher match rate. And then you can activate that through the ad platforms. So what we've seen is that sometimes that can be up to 75% instead of about 10 to 30% match rate. Some of the benefits of using a data onboarding platform would be that you can maximize your first-party data through increasing match rates. You can access third-party data lists. You can analyze your existing data and what it actually compromises of. And then finally, you can it lets you enter your data into data marketplaces so you can reach much, much wider audiences. So number 3, invest in social and contextual advertising. So this is smarter now than ever. It utilizes machine learning and data signals to ensure that it performs based on content and user behavior. So what it does is it takes content around ad inventory on a web page, social profile, user behavior, and themes present within a video. They're then extracted and passed to an optimization engine. The content is then evaluated on safety, suitability, and relevance and context. And you can even take into context when the ad is viewed, such as time of day and location. So this gives us access to inventory, engaged audiences, and high performance without the need for any kind of cookies. So it's really, really important. And finally, don't freak out. We do believe that eventually all of these tech platforms will have their own solution, which will probably be well promoted before the final cookie retirement. And some of the things that we think that this could include might be that Facebook, Google might have their own data onboarding tools, increasing match rates on data, or there might be a persistent user ID that will be implemented, for example. So we're going to take a look at benchmarking what is good virtual versus live. This is something that we get asked all the time. What is good for my industry? What's good for my sector, for my show? And at Tag Digital, we've built a benchmarking tool, including data from over 100,000 event campaigns from both live and virtual across all industries. So if we take a look here, I've got in some CPAs, we can use this to get a better idea of how cost per acquisition, conversion rate, and click-through rate may change compared with the in-person events. We've already built huge amounts of data, and we can help you predict your target CPA for your future virtual events. Here you can see the virtual CPA in yellow and the live CPA in purple. As you can see, the majority of the virtual CPAs have been coming in lower than the live, and mostly around $10 to $15 and under. And underneath here you can see we've got some of the industries there. So you've got energy, F&B, logistics, health, security, beauty and design, and we've got plenty more case studies and examples should anyone be interested, along with an updated virtual benchmarking report as well. So just to go over the key takeaways and what we've learned today. So we've learned a step-by-step process on how to capture good quality leads, how to nurture and convert them, best practices for social lead generation ads, how to generate revenue using data and digital, how to run 365 campaigns and the different types to use, how best to utilize first-party data, and benchmarking and what CPAs are good for virtual versus live. So thank you very much for everybody joining. I'm now going to take some time for questions. So the first question I have here is, how do PPC campaigns differ when running a virtual event compared to live? So what we've seen is that the virtual events are actually a lot shorter campaigns. So for a visitor campaign, we're seeing about a 4-week campaign as opposed to about 12 weeks. I've got another question here. What is the recommended monthly budget for an AlwaysOn campaign? The one thing I would recommend, it's quite a difficult one to answer that because it really depends on what your goals are. I would say about $500 to $1,000. But if you want to send me an email with whoever asked that question, then I could provide you with some kind of proposal and strategy there on what I'd recommend depending on what your performance goals are. For social lead gen ads, what creative do you recommend putting alongside the form in the ad? So it can really be anything from an ebook to a report to maybe a case study from an event that you've previously ran. Sometimes in the presentation I included some of the content actually, and sometimes what we've used is some video as well. That's something that we use quite a lot actually, is video to get a cost per view is a lot cheaper than a cost per click. So you could utilize video, especially if you're sort of targeting a more top of the funnel audience there. It tends to be a lot more engaging. But yeah, as I said, if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to send me an email and I can come back to you with any answers, any advice, any sort of strategies that you may need moving forward. Please feel free to reach out, and thank you so much for attending today.